This is Grant with Spring Creek Manufacturing, and in today's video we'll be bringing you the Tuff trolling motor mount. The Tuff trolling motor mount is designed to install a trolling motor onto a canoe using this motor mount here. Comes in two different styles. This is the standard style here, where it comes this way out of the box. And then if you're looking for a little bit more width, we do have the extended version that comes with the extension bracket here. It just gets you a couple extra inches of clamping width. So for those canoes that have a little bit of a wider clamping profile, you can get the extension bracket option to get you a little bit more width. So in this video here, just going to run through a couple key features and benefits to the Tuff motor mount. We'll do a quick installation on a canoe. It only takes a couple seconds. It's a really simple installation, but give you a visual there, and then we will also do the installation of the extension bracket onto the standard mount. So if you were to get it with the extension bracket to start, or if down the road you added the extension onto a standard mount, we'll just run through a quick installation so you can get a visual there. So I'll touch on a couple key product specs and a couple key product features before going ahead and doing the installation. So to start, the Tuff motor mount is constructed entirely out of aluminum, and all the fasteners are stainless steel. Why I wanted to point that out, why that's important, is the mount can be used in all water types. So saltwater, freshwater, brackish water. You're not going to have to worry about anything on this mount rusting, rotting, or corroding over time. So you're covered. As for the mount, the standard mount is 30 inches long and 2.5 inches wide. It also has a clamping width of 19 inches for max clamping. If you need more than 19 inches of clamping width, you need to go ahead and get yourself the extension bracket or the extended version to start. The extension bracket adds an additional 11 inches of clamping width for a total of 30 inches of clamping width with the extended version. So again, if you need more than 19 inches of clamping width, you need to go ahead and get yourself the extension bracket. The standard mount weighs 5 pounds. The extension bracket weighs roughly a pound. So it'll be 5 pounds for the standard mount and roughly 6 pounds for the extension bracket added on the standard mount. The clamping block face is 1 inch thick. It's designed that way to be able to fit on most canoe trolling motor brackets. If for some reason when you get your trolling motor mount and you realize that you need a little bit more material to get a nice grip tight feel, you can go ahead and use any material shim or any wood shim to get yourself the extra space or material needed to get a secure and tight grip. Speaking of trolling motors, we recommend a max 3 horsepower thrust for a gas trolling motor, and for electric, that equivalent to a 3 horsepower thrust. So that's just for the safety and security. We don't want you damaging your canoe gunnels, and we really don't want more than a 3 horsepower thrust being used with a canoe with this mount. So 3 horsepower max for a gas trolling motor, and that equivalent in an electric trolling motor used with this mount. So on to the key product features. First and foremost being the mounting block face. As you can see here, the mounting block face does look different than most on the market, and you'd be right. This is designed out of HDPE, which is high density polyethylene plastic. Why we went with that versus wood is the HDPE is going to hold its structural integrity throughout the life of the mount. I myself have personal experience with using a trolling motor bracket that had a wood mounting block face, and when it would go from being used to in my garage, that repetitive wet-dry cycle made the wood fibers start to break down, and I actually got some cracking happening in my mount block face, which was a concern for the strength. You're not going to get that with the HDPE mounting block face. It's going to hold its structural integrity throughout the life of the mount. As you can see in the visual, the mounting block face is also textured. Why that's a really nice feature is it's going to prevent any slippage from happening when your clamp from your motor is clamped onto this mounting bracket. So the added friction from the texture will be a nice added feature. The last thing I wanted to touch on here is just the ease of the adjustment with the clamping. A lot of other mounts on the market have just singular holes being drilled where you actually have to remove the clamps and put them in the variable holes throughout the mount. You don't have to worry about doing that with the Tuff motor mount. The entire slot is free and clear so that you can adjust. So all you have to do is just loosen the knobs, and then the clamps just freely slide, and you can do that on both sides with ease. This installation will be with the standard mount, since the clamping width where we'll be installing is less than 19 inches. However, you can just mimic this when you're installing with the extended version, because the installation will be the same. Also, the thing to point out here is that the clamps will go to the underside of the gunnel lip. So whether your canoe has a gunnel lip to the inside or the outside of the canoe, that's where the clamps must be installed with. So make sure you take that into consideration. So when installing, one thing I did want to note here is that the clamps that you see will be to the underside of the aluminum bar on the Tuff motor mount. We have what we call the short leg and the long leg of the clamp. The short leg is what will be going to the underside of the gunnel, and the long leg will stay to the bar here itself. Why we want that is the short leg has a little bit more of an angle, and it gives a little bit more of a grip tight feel. So when it comes to doing the installation, really simple. You just loosen the 3-point knobs on both sides so that you can get enough of an opening on the underside. You'll do that on both sides. You'll then take your mount where you want to install it, slide the clamps. You'll take the short leg of the clamp, and you'll slide that under the gunnel lip, and then just simply tighten the knob down. You'll then repeat on the other side and tighten down. Biggest thing is just to make sure that the knobs and the clamps have a nice tight fit. You don't want the mount to be walking or moving once you get your motor on and installed, so just double check to make sure that you've got a nice snug fit. And then from the takeoff and removal, it's just opposite. Loosen the knobs, slide, and then pop the mount off. The real simple installation of the Tuff motor mount and the removal. Okay, so we'll do the simple installation to add the extension bracket on to the Tuff motor mount. Only tool needed, 1/2-inch socket or a 1/2-inch wrench, whichever you prefer. Both will work just fine. So out of the box, whether you buy the Tuff motor mount with the extension bracket to start, or if you order the extension bracket separate, it'll come like you see here, pretty simple. Just got 2 carriage bolts on there, 2 washers, and 2 nylock nuts. Start by just taking the hardware all the way off the mount. The nylock nuts should be hand tight, but if they are a little bit tighter, then just use your socket head or your wrench. Take it right off and take all that hardware and just set it aside for later. You just remove the nuts and then take the carriage bolts and the 2 washers completely off until you're just left with the mount as you see here. Next step is you're going to take your Tuff motor mount and you'll take the clamp and the knob hardware opposite of the mounting block face, and you'll completely remove that off so that this slot is completely free and open. So just start by threading the knob completely off. Remove it. Take the washer off as well, and then just let the clamp and the carriage bolt completely come off like you see so. Then what you'll do is you'll take your extension bracket and you'll take the end that the hardware was in with the 2 holes, and you'll affix that to the underside, as you see here, the underside of the mounting bracket until you see the holes sticking through the slot. You'll then go back to the hardware that you took off of the extension bracket when you got it out of the box, and from top to bottom, that's key, top to bottom, you'll take the carriage bolts and you'll slide them through the slot and back into the holes. And you'll repeat that with both, so that you see like so. You'll then take the washers and the nylocks and reattach, like you see there. So washers and then the nylock. And then you'll just take your socket or your wrench and you'll just tighten those. Okay. So once you have them tight, you'll see there why I specified they need to go top to bottom. The neck of the carriage bolt's going to sit down in the slot, and then you'll just tighten them down like so. So now you're left like here. Now the last step is just to reapply the knob and hardware to the new slot that was on the extension bracket. And so what you'll do is you'll take your clamp and your bolt that you set aside from earlier, and from bottom up, you'll slide that through that slot in the extension bracket. You'll add the washer back to the top, and then just simply tighten the knob back down. Now your Tuff motor mount is equipped with the extension bracket to add that extra 11 inches of clamping space. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you would please like and subscribe to stay up to date on all Spring Creek related news, new product launches, promotions, any sales going on, things like that. Otherwise, if you have any questions about the Tuff motor mount, this product, otherwise any of our other products in our product line, please visit us on the web at springcreek.com or give us a call at 218-735-8719.